are the boys who grilled up all the meat again, grilled up all the meat again, grilled up all the meat again. We are the boys, grilled up all the meat again, bully boys, hey, bully boys, ho. Well, if you wanna have a good time, grill the meat again, grill the meat again, grill the meat again. I wanna catch a devil if you wanna have fun, wanna smell hell, grill the meat again.
Welcome back to Grilling History, everyone. We got some fine weather for edition number 2. Parker and I fought through the rain. As you have to make a choice, as we said, when it's mid-Atlantic summer, sometimes you just got to grill in the rain. Thankfully, not today. We're hanging out with the legendary Travis Shaw. He's a good friend of ours. He's got an episode coming up very shortly for you all. One of the tasty ones. One of the ones from the Matt Borders archive. But let's say hey to Travis. Travis, how are you, man? Welcome to Grilling History.
Doing great. Glad we could finally do this.
Yes.
Because last week was
the rain.
Awful.
It was in the same batch of all the rain that rained on Parker and I. So
hopefully we broke the cycle this time now. Now we're out of it.
100%. So So we're not grilling today. We're doing something a little cooler. So there's no point in wasting time. Tell our listeners both what we're making today and what we're talking about, Travis.
Sure. So I'm lazy. I'm not very good at grilling.
Hell yeah.
I'm a smoker. Don't take that the wrong way.
Marlboro Reds? The good stuff?
I used to be a Camel guy,
Cowboy
but a long
killers.
time ago.
Oh,
my young days.
The Joe. We all remember the Joe.
Yeah, so this was like a pandemic hobby I picked up. 2021, I bought this on Facebook Marketplace. I've been like loving it ever since. I smoked everything from ribs to salmon, cheese, whatever you got. Today we're doing my favorite though, which is pork belly burnt ends.
Oh yeah.
You guys like burnt ends?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like 1/5 burnt ends.
Okay, well, this is a little different than like regular burnt ends because it's pork belly, but you know, it's got that like fatty goodness. And because smoking takes so long, I figured we'd do a little treat in there too, a little something to like hold us over till it's done.
Little snacks?
Little snack.
Snacks. I love snacks.
Pre-meats.
When the smoker's already going, I like to throw different things on there. So I got a smoked cream cheese with a little bit of Old Bay.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then that's going to go with some hot pepper jelly.
Ooh, hot pepper jelly.
Sweet and spicy is kind of the theme.
It's a vibe. It's a
vibe.
super vibe. So
It's a vibe.
Parker is big on meats, right? So one of the things I knew was that Parker was going to get a smoker at some point. He got a smoker. You saw the Traeger that we used in episode 1.
The Traeger.
He's got like a nice little nuclear briefcase of this. Excellent. This thing, however, looks like Fat Man or Little Boy.
Like
this thing is much.
R2-D2
Yeah,
is
okay,
what I
yeah. I'm not a
was-
Star Wars
yeah,
guy.
but
Yeah. Everybody knows I'm not a Star Wars guy. I get it. I'm lame. So tell us about this thing. Is it all business? Is it just like the cooking happens here and this is all?
This is like
all the
super
cooking
idiot
stuff.
Proof. This is the Weber Smoky Mountain. So
The cooking stuff.
That's
The
great.
coals.
And the wood down in the bottom.
All right.
In the middle, you got like a big bowl of water. It's kind of like a heat sink, keeps the temperature steady.
Okay.
And then you got 2 trays full of meat right now going on there.
All right.
And I noticed something else on here too. We got that handy dandy little plug-in thing that you can plug your thermometer
Oh yeah,
into.
stick my probe
That
right in
is-
there.
oh,
makes
Is
yeah.
that
it
what
a
this
temp-
is?
Yeah.
It's just a
Little temp, like
temp
thermometer
probe.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
just-
All right, so what are we talking about historically? Because remember, grilling history isn't just about what we're making. To tie into your episode coming up, we're talking today about what or whom.
We are talking about William Augustus Bowles, who is a loyalist from Maryland who has probably one of the craziest stories of anyone who lived through the Revolutionary War era. I mean,
Okay.
all over the place.
Like, all over the place the way, say, a Elijah Hunt Rhodes would be in the next big war we're going to do?
I would say even more random. I mean, this guy travels the world. He creates his own country.
I was going to say maybe Joseph Plum Martin, who seemed to be everywhere, but he didn't do
hooking up
that.
with every lady he ever meets. You know, I mean, this guy is like
A legend, it sounds
legend.
like. All right. Well, I don't even want to cook anymore. I just want to sit down and have beers and talk about this guy. That's not true. I want to cook. So where are we at in the process here? First step, are we still telling story or we got to get into some prep? Because I know you said this has been smoking for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to pull some stuff off the smoker real quick. So the pork belly burn ends, you know, they get a good like 2.5, 3 hour smoke. And then they're going to go in this tray, get a little brown sugar, a little butter, some sauce, and then go right back in for that finish to get that like kind of sticky meat candy glaze.
Sticky meat candy, I'm in.
Yeah, that is
Are
what
you
we're
in?
all about.
I am.
How do you
I'm
feel
ready for
about
this.
sticky meat candy, Parker?
That was my nickname in college.
Was it? Nice. He was a partier, we know. Let's take our first look here. Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, there you go.
Oh
We got
my.
that should be.
Are you just that manly? That didn't burn?
Oil is
Oh, okay.
For the hot stuff, I got these.
You got the cool gloves.
The cool
oh, man.
gloves, yeah. So these guys are going to go right in the tray. And I should just
All right.
shake them right off. Get them in there.
Self-service meats.
Meats.
Set that aside.
Oh, man.
And that was a little tight, but these guys are going to go right in here. I'll tell you what, if you want to risk burning your fingers,
Put them in the grease?
grab one of those right now
Parker, do it.
and give it a try.
Tell us what they're like before they go into the magic sauce.
Too hot? Too hot?
Toasty.
Gotta give it a minute.
Tell
He
you
doesn't
what,
have the
tell you
manly
what,
fingers you have.
I can tell already the tenderness is there.
I'll pull some of them off.
Oh, great.
Let them cool down.
Now, tell me, is the skin on today or the skin off?
Skin off. You
All
definitely
right.
want the skin off.
All right.
So a little brown sugar.
Yep. Because I've heard a couple different recipes, and they're like, I've tried a couple different ways. Some people are like, "Oh, you gotta have that skin
Butter.
on there." But I think for the burn ends,
Burn ends.
Always
the
best skin
skin's
off.
just gonna make it a little too tough, I think. So,
Yeah, yeah.
A little butter
yep.
and a little sauce. We're gonna give that a good stir
Okay.
just to get everything mixed up.
All right.
And then this is gonna go straight back on for about another 40 minutes or so. And what that's gonna do is just kind of caramelize on the outside of it.
That is,
Make everything nice and.
and we don't have smell-o-vision yet either, but the barbecue sauce is, that is delightful.
All right, and that's just gonna go right back on for that's about 40 minutes down. They get real nice and tasty. You want to see if these are?
Oh yeah.
If we can.
Yeah, Parker's gonna be our guy. Oh, if they're cool enough, I can also be the guy. But I am dainty.
All right.
Now, this is without any of the sauce or anything. This is just the dry rub.
First of all, these are amazing.
That's amazing.
They're still lava hot. Woo!
This is it right here.
Not only do I not have fingerprints, but the roof of my mouth is now gone. This is delicious.
They are so good.
I can't wait.
And super easy.
I just had a mashed thought. I cannot wait. I can't imagine what the extra flavor is going to be, because this is already like, in the best way, like overwhelming me with goodness.
Right. What kind of wood are we using?
Applewood.
Applewood. Okay.
Applewood. Yeah.
That should have been my first question. I apologize to my culinary
I
friends.
can tell you're a man of culture here.
Yeah.
You're smoking.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So.
And do you mind if I just go ahead and grab? I'm very excited.
Yeah,
about this.
go ahead. Like I said, it's real good by itself. Good with the.
What is it? It's brie?
No, it's just cream
cheese.
Oh, it's just cream cheese.
Yeah. Cream cheese, Old Bay.
Oh,
and
man.
then it's real good with the pepper jelly. But
Oh, right,
let it
Old
smoke
Bay.
for a while.
The Marylander in me must have just not even registered that.
Talking about a Maryland loyalist. we
I am a
gotta
failure.
Represent Maryland here, right?
I'm down.
So get a little bit of that kind of sweet and smoky.
I'm going to get in on that in a minute.
Okay.
So, Travis,
It's amazing.
in a couple of weeks, our listeners are going to listen to you talk about Maryland's role in the American Revolution. It's a fantastic conversation, and at one point we end up, I guess, kind of referencing a pretty interesting character. Tell us a little bit about this guy, Bowles.
So, I guess I'll start at the beginning. Bowles, he's from Frederick County.
Okay.
He was born in Frederick County, like 1763, 64. We don't know for sure. In fact, a lot of the details about his early life are pretty hazy. His dad, Thomas Bowles, was an English immigrant, had been like a bookseller, publisher over in England. Comes to America like some of the other dudes to get involved in land speculation. Settles down in Frederick County, marries a wealthy local lady, kind of well-connected lady named Eleanor Price.
Okay.
And together they kind of go about building up this estate. So, Bowles, big deal. Also super educated guy. He runs one of the first schools in Frederick.
Okay.
So William grows up in this kind of well-off family, goes to his father's school, but by all accounts, he really doesn't take to it. He doesn't like, sitting. He's not a book learner. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
He is a man of action.
Your stupid books.
Yeah, he's always out there, like hunting and fishing.
Never did
like,
care much for no book learning.
running around. Yeah. The one thing that he does kind of have a natural ability for seems to be art. He's like a great painter. It's
All
weird
right.
that like multiple people reference this. But as we get closer to the Revolutionary War, his dad, Thomas Bowles, gets really involved in revolutionary politics.
All
Like
right.
he's protesting taxation, he's getting involved in like non-importation, all
Okay.
that stuff. His son, though, William, probably like the weirdest example of teenage rebellion I can think of is like, screw you, Dad, I support the king. Runs away from home at the age of 14.
I thought I was bad because I was like into metalhead stuff and I hung out with the goth kids in high school and like my parents hated that. So this sounds a little more hardcore.
Little more hardcore, yeah.
I'm going to support the monarchy, Dad.
In 1777, he runs away from home at the age of like 14, makes his way to Philadelphia where the British Army is, and gets himself a commission as an ensign in the Maryland Loyalist Battalion.
So he's like and he's an officer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Young guy still, too.
I don't know if that, what that says about the Maryland Loyalist Battalion, but, he's,
We'll take anybody.
He's a kid, and you're well-connected, I guess.
He's like, you want to just be general? I mean, there's an opening. Why not?
Yeah, Hal's on his way out. Come
Yeah,
on.
seriously. You just want to be general?
So, yeah, he ends up with this battalion of Loyalists, which there's like a few names that, if you're into Maryland Revolutionary history, there's like Delaney's in the ranks.
Yep.
Philip Barton Key, Francis Scott Key's uncle. Maryland Loyalists have kind of, I don't even know how to put this nicely, but kind of a checkered experience during the war.
Just say it, man.
Yeah, they suck. And because of this, they get sent on like probably one of the worst details you could possibly get in the British Army at this time.
Do they suck militarily or do they suck like they do shiesty shit? Like war crime stuff.
Militarily. No.
So they just, on the battlefield, they just tactically
war
lame.
crimes would insinuate that you might, like, win battles.
Oh, taking L's.
Can I drop this mic? That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah, he can't have his. It's on the RV. Yeah. All right.
I mean,
okay.
it's just kind of like...
Is it an organizational thing?
They don't do much.
Okay, so they don't do much.
They don't do much.
That's fine.
So they're sent all the way down to the British colony of West Florida. The most strategic place in all of the colony.
Yeah, I was
became
like,
the first Florida man.
Pensacola.
I was literally going to ask, like, so what, like Pensacola, literally?
Pensacola.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, which, like I said, is kind of like a backwater of a backwater of a backwater. There's not much going on in 1778 in Pensacola, Florida.
The people are just as surprised. They're like, there's some new people here.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, there's like a handful of English traders.
Bunch of Spanish still.
A handful of Spaniards that are still around. Of course, Florida had been transferred to the British after the French and Indian War.
Right.
So, like,
right.
The British, I kind of get the sense, don't really know what to do with it. They don't do much with it.
We don't know what to do with Florida. I mean, today we're still like, what do we do with Florida?
This is a Florida man story. William Augustus Bowles is the original Florida man.
Is he really?
He's the original Florida man.
All right,
I wasn't far off.
So look, Maine invents everything according to you, but Maryland invented Florida man. You spent your summers
last summer
in Maine? All right, so Florida man.
Back to Florida.
Florida man, but he's a Marylander, and now we're hanging out in Pensacola. And who would do that?
So military duty in Pensacola is, like I said, these at the ass end of the universe.
Right.
Nothing going on. It's a lot of sitting around, getting sick, tropical disease. You could tell pretty quickly it starts to wear on Bowles because, according to whichever source you look at, he gets into an altercation with a superior officer, and at least according to one story, takes his regimental coat off, throws it in the bay, and basically says, "I'm done. I'm out."
What?
Take this as my
Can you
resignation.
do that?
Well, 5 minutes later, an alligator emerged.
Wearing the coat.
Jacket,
Wearing the coat.
And in command. And in command of the
He's
unit.
wearing the coat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it might have been an improvement for these guys.
Right.
So he resigns his commission. However it happens, he resigns his commission, and he takes off into like the hinterlands of Florida.
Florida has hinterlands?
It's like the Everglades, probably.
Yeah, like up into like that panhandle part.
Oh, that is
where they become Alabamians.
Yes, yeah. The lines
That
are
is
blurred
right.
here. He's in the wilderness, and he runs into a group of Creek Indians.
Okay.
They take him in. He spends the next few months kind of like tooling around with these guys. At least according to him, he marries a Cherokee princess and a Creek princess. So he's got 2 wives at this point. He's like
They're all royalty.
16 years old, hanging out with the natives, and eventually, after like a few months of this, he returns to Pensacola, and this is like where he enters like his true Florida man phase, because he is reported to have made his own boat out of an old barrel and just spends his days kind of like rowing around Pensacola Bay, like fishing and like drinking and hanging out, like Jimmy Buffett style.
Hell yeah.
Salt life.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it.
I mean, does this guy ever become not cool? Okay, all right. So far,
it depends on who you ask.
I'm just saying. So far, we're young. We've been an officer. We've been able to resign in a cool way,
like,
quit your job, cool. And now he's married 2 princesses.
Two, and I mean that's.
And he fishes in a barrel.
Those are his words.
Okay.
Princesses.
Okay.
But now he's just like hanging out in a barrel. He's like living off of the charity of like a local baker in town.
All right.
So he's like got it made until one day the baker comes to like collect the money that he's owed. And he like dips out again for the second time to go live with the creek. He's like, done. I'm gone.
I gotta go.
There's like a lot of layers to this guy.
I mean, already. And how old is he at this point?
He is still less than 20 years. He's still a teenager. At this
That's
point.
insane.
Like, yeah. So he's like living his ideal life right up to 1781.
Okay.
And this is the point where like things on the Gulf Coast take a turn because Spain has entered the war. Spain has declared war on Britain, and they are intent on getting Florida back. Make Florida Spain again. So the governor of Louisiana, Bernardo de Galvez, puts together this army in New Orleans. It's like Spanish regulars, natives. He's got a regiment of free Africans from Cuba who are there. Like it's like this motley assortment of like American frontiersmen, whoever he can pull together.
All right.
There's actually an Irish regiment there, the Regimento Hibernia.
Let's go.
Like,
the best people in the whole world. They be out there fighting, fucking up the British.
Yeah, yeah. Their leaders have great names like Alejandro O'Reilly, like these like half
Dude, that's
Spanish
rad.
Like, yeah, it's super cool.
My name is
Alejandro
O'Brien. Yeah, O'Reilly. My name's Miguel O'Reilly.
So the army starts marching east towards Pensacola, fighting a few little battles here and there. They reach Mobile, which is like the British outpost. And this is where our guy Bowles hears about this, and he shows up at the siege of Mobile with a group of Creek Indians, like ready to fight for the British. He's like, guys, here to save the day. I'm back.
Yeah.
Here we go. He's almost killed during the siege, actually. He's leaning against like a palm tree and a cannonball hits it and like almost like decapitates him.
Dude.
But
duck.
Yeah. He makes it. They get pushed all the way back to Pensacola. Pensacola's put under siege by the Spanish for like 2 months. And it's one of the craziest battles of the American Revolution because, we've got the Spanish army that I was talking about on one side, the British army, you've got, these Maryland and Pennsylvania loyalists, you've got a bunch of Germans that are there, enslaved people who've been
really
given their
mixed
freedom.
force.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We think of the American Revolution, this is not what we think about.
No.
The siege of Pensacola is nuts. It goes on for 2 months. This whole time, Bowles and the Creeks are kind of out on the periphery, ambushing the Spanish, kind of harassing them. But it goes real bad for the British. The city falls. All of the officers get captured and sent to Cuba, including Bowles.
Oh.
So they're imprisoned in Cuba for a little while before being exchanged up to New York City. British-held New York. And when Bowles gets there, he loves it. Because, this is the big city.
New York City.
This is the opposite of Pensacola. This is the center of
I'm
British
in civilization
America.
again.
Civilization. He takes up work as an actor, and he is the toast of the town. He's got all these crazy stories. Everyone wants to talk to this guy who's been living with the Indians.
Yeah, this 12-year-old who has suddenly 80 years of life experience.
Right. He's lived through all these battles on the Gulf Coast.
Right.
He's hung out with the natives. He's got been imprisoned by the Spanish. He's got stories.
Yeah.
And he really plays it up, and it works to his advantage. As an actor, everybody wants a piece of this guy. He is the coolest thing to hit New York City in the 1780s.
Okay. I got to imagine, at some point, is anybody going I'm calling BS on you? Is he ever in real time be dude, your stories are wild? Is there any detractors? Because you think about who we are as friends. We've all got that one friend. It's dude,
yeah.
You talk a lot of shit, Like, are you telling me like he's spinning yarn, or is this real?
You know, I imagine someone did, but the problem is the sources on this guy.
It's all those
are, like,
Irish
few
regiments.
and far between. So yeah, like
Miguel O'Reilly's
O'Reilly.
like, boy, you be spinning yarn there. It sounds like there, you know,
bit of the Blarney, right?
You bit of
Like-
balls, yeah. I got a bit of swampland to sell you in Florida.
you're gonna love where this story goes.
All right, I'm ready.
You are gonna love
digging
this.
it.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
He's hanging out with the high society set in New York. You know, all the British officers, all the the big wigs up there. End of the war comes. He and the acting troupe pack up and head to the Bahamas.
Okay.
You know, again, he's got to live that beach life.
Hell yeah.
Gets to the Bahamas, and when he's there, he's kind of like gets a little disillusioned. He's kind of like realizing maybe he's made some mistakes. You know,
maybe
first of
it's
all,
the
the
wrong-
acting scene sucks in Bahamas. It's
Yeah.
not what it was in New York.
I feel like it's not why you go to the Bahamas, though. Right. It's to drink Mai Tais
Yeah, exactly.
and chill on a
Do they
beach,
have
launder
Mai
your
Tais?
money through British banks.
Row around in your barrel.
In your barrel,
and-
exactly. God.
Maybe that was his mistake.
Yeah.
He was like trying to be an actor when he should have just.
He's like, I
been,
left
like,
the
a beach
barrel
bum."
in Florida, and I have regretted it ever since.
The
So
best part of my life is that barrel.
Yeah.
So he's in the Bahamas. He can't make ends meet as an actor. He like takes up painting again, kind of does odd jobs. And it's during this time that he meets the governor of the Bahamas, who is at this point Lord Dunmore, which is like a name.
Like the Dunmore.
The Lord,
Like
yeah, John
Dunmore's
Tory,
War Dunmore.
4th Earl of Dunmore, yeah. Former royal governor of Virginia.
I was going to say former boat governor of Virginia.
Yeah. Dude's got an axe to grind.
Sure.
And so does Bowles at this point.
Oh,
because
is this a partnership?
He is like, if it weren't for those Spaniards and those Americans, I'd still be like chilling in Florida in my boat, living the good life.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. So this is where like him spinning yarns really comes into play, because he's
Okay.
going to Dunmore and he's like, you'll never believe this. I'm a chief of the Creek Nation.
Oh,
and if I
my.
get back to Florida, I can get like all the natives there to rise up against the Spanish, and we're going to take Florida back and make Florida an English colony again. Make Florida England again.
Make Florida England again. Mafia.
That's,
It's Mafia.
Mafia.
I liked Make Florida
It's weirdly
Spain
just as
again.
intelligent as the current thing we're trying to talk
Right.
about.
So he spent some time going back and forth to Florida, like, brushing up on his contacts with the different native peoples there. Really sells it to Dunmore that this is a plan that's going to work. And he finally gets the go ahead. He throws this huge party in the Bahamas where he is promising people like, liquor and gold and land and women and whatever else they want
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's
why
Florida.
not?
once they take Florida back.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Florida is like the promised land. We're going to
of
take
course. I mean, isn't that where the Fountain of Youth allegedly was,
Right.
too? Like,
He's probably like, listen, guys, there's a treasure fleet off the coast.
Yeah.
We'll go get it when this is all over.
The kind of bull he is selling.
Dude, that's awesome, though.
And the best part is, like, nobody
me and
shows
Miguel
up.
O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Like, all these guys are like, oh, yeah, cool plan. All right, thanks. We'll
And
see
then
ya.
they wake
Bye."
up sober and they're like, that guy was
No, that-
crazy.
Yeah, he's got a timeshare to sell you. in
You're like,
Florida.
what
That's
the
what
hell
this
was
is.
that guy?
So they actually open up the jails in the Bahamas to, like, get him recruits. He ends up with, like, 50 guys.
That's not a lot.
He has promoted himself to colonel in the British service and
Is he a
chief of the
reenactor?
Creek. Yeah, he's a reenactor. He's just made it up.
He just made himself a colonel.
And they show up on the Florida coast, these like 50 guys, and within days it falls apart.
Of course.
Because it was a stupid plan to
It's
begin
not
with.
built on anything.
No, like the Creeks don't come out
Because he's not a
rising up
chief.
Because he's not a chief.
Right.
The guys that go don't really want to be there. They're hungry. They're getting sick. They
Yeah.
don't want to be there. So it falls apart, and pretty soon he's back in the Bahamas. But like our man is not one to give up. So
I mean, why would you at this point?
right, yeah, you've already gone so far. You
All
might
right,
as
just
well
see
like,
it through.
live it up.
See it through.
So you're gonna love that. Doesn't get Dunmore on his side. So he one-ups and is like, I'm gonna go straight to London and see the king.
Shut up. Does he get an audience?
He and a handful of Cherokee chiefs get on a ship, they land in Canada real quickly, and then over to London. And when this dude hits London, he is the hottest thing in the city. because he is dressing like a native chief. He's got like you've seen like kind of late 18th, early 19th century like Seminole or Creek where they've got like the turbans and the feathers, like silver bangles, like earrings. It's an intense look, and so he has hit the streets of London. Everybody wants this guy. He is the hottest thing to hit society. He is going to the parties. He is meeting more women than he knows what to do with. He is he actually gets his portrait painted. So the one portrait we have of him is painted in London.
In his Indian dress?
In his Indian dress. And like he's a handsome dude. I get it. Like, if you believe the bullshit, he's like an impressive guy.
I mean, look, charming people have ascended to places.
Right. And he is like a good example of this because he also publishes his autobiography there in London, which, as you can imagine, is super humble and self-effacing and truthful. He gets audience with all these members of the British government.
Okay.
He is, like I said, just going to all the dances, all the balls, all the parties. By this point, he's actually started going by a native name.
Of course he has.
Yeah. He's going by, and I don't know the exact pronunciation, whether it's Estajoka or Estayoka.
Estajoka would be great.
That would be right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Estajoka, I don't know.
I'm a joker. Anyway.
Well, you're going to love this.
Okay.
According to one article I read, and it seems to be a fairly academic one, it is probably the Muskogee word for white guy. He's like, my people bestowed on me this name.
Yeah, they're like, it's the white dude.
White dude.
White dude.
It's like white dude.
It's like basic white dude.
Yeah. So
he's extra.
He is playing the part, and he is trying to charm the British government into like backing his plot to take Florida back. Doesn't really get anywhere in London. Comes back to the New World. Comes back to the Bahamas. Starts just generally being a pain in the ass for the Spanish. He's talking this big game. He's traveling back and forth to Florida, meeting with his, contacts and people he knows. And the Spanish are finally starting to take notice of this guy. Like, there's a fear that this guy might actually be onto something.
I mean, he hasn't gone away at this point, so...
Right, and this is also, like, early 1790s, so Spain and England had almost gone to war over Nootka Sound out on the west coast.
Correct.
So, like, this is not what you don't want this guy, like, stirring up trouble when things are already kind of on the brink.
Sure.
So, the Spanish invite him to New Orleans to have, like, diplomatic talks.
All right.
And he goes.
Okay.
He shows up in New Orleans.
What do you think's coming, Parker?
Meets with some Spanish guys.
What happens?
I mean,
you think he's about to get arrested? Are they going to arrest him? All right.
I have.
Is it going to be good? Is it going to be good or bad?
It's gonna be bad.
Okay.
I've learned some things.
It's not good.
It's always bad.
It's always bad.
That's the reason why we remember these stories.
It's true.
Because they're bad things.
But this guy has like 9 lives.
Oh, cool.
So
are we about to use one, though?
we're going to use one.
Okay.
So he gets to New Orleans. He meets with the Spanish. No. After a little while, the Spanish are like, well, we got to kick it up a rung. You got to go talk to the governor of Cuba. Like, he's the guy who's really in charge. So here, hop on this ship with us. We'll take you to Cuba. We'll work it out from there. And it's not until he's on that boat to Cuba that he figures out that the Spanish are arresting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was say, dude, like, why would you do that?
That would have been my first thought. I'm not going to lie. I'd be like,
Yeah, like...
They're taking me to Guantanamo,
Did they
man.
exchange a hostage back? No. That's what I mean. First clue, they're just taking you.
Hey, buddy.
Like, they're just taking
on.
you. Dummy.
So he goes to Cuba. They hold him there for a while. So this is the second time he's been imprisoned in Cuba. After a while, they kind of figure this guy's a little too dangerous to be in the Caribbean. So they send him to Spain.
He's got Jack Sparrow vibes right now.
He does. This guy is like a real-life Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
He goes to Spain. They don't really know what to do with him there, and he's causing such a scene there that they put him on a ship to the Philippines.
What is he doing as a prisoner? He's in Spain, right?
Well, he's like trying to like chat up the governor's wife and like trying to get like Spanish officials like on his side, like claiming that he's a representative of the British government, and like if they don't free him, then the British are going to declare war on Spain. Like,
he's a diplomat now.
Yeah, he's a diplomat. Well, don't you know he's a chief?
It's true. He's a chief.
He's a chief.
He's a diplomat of 2 nations.
He is a chief. So
they're pissing. He's pissing off the Spanish now.
He is pissed off the Spanish. And I guess this is like right around the time he's arrested by the Spanish is when he has not only claiming to be a chief of the Creek Nation, but he has invented his own country.
Oh. Now this sounds very interesting. Tell me more, because I know what's the Sealand. Remember the oil,
the like, platform?
Yeah. So are we talking this kind of vibe, or is that more legitimate than what this guy's about to do? Sealand had a passport.
Sealand has a passport.
Well, it did. It's not registered. It's not recognized anymore, but it was recognized.
His country had a constitution and a flag, both of which he designed himself.
Well, look, because of Eddie Izzard, I know a flag is all you need.
Flag is all you need.
All you need.
His flag has a smiling sun on it, which is great. A very Florida man, very appropriate.
Yeah, he's like, look, this is the Sunshine State.
Yeah,
after all. So where is his country?
Muskogee is like West Florida, South Alabama, kind of like that central Gulf Coast area. Floribama. Yeah, he is. I told you, he's the original Florida man.
Dude, you weren't
if
kidding.
This dude was alive today, he would have a mullet. He'd be driving like a mid-'90s Jeep Wrangler. Like
he'd be somewhere between being legendarily cool and a complete weirdo.
Yeah.
Like somewhere in the middle of that.
To be honest, he is already.
He's probably both of these things.
He already is.
I think people in the 18th century probably thought this.
Like I would be like, man, he'd go like cruising by in his T-top Firebird, like Def Leppard type of thing, or White Snake. Here I go again is probably right.
Rat, maybe.
Yeah, some Rat. You know, and he's got that like jean jacket thing going, and he
like hanging out around the high school.
He tanks the fishtail. He doesn't do the burnout right. He almost wrecks his car.
He's like the 40-year-old guy showed up to spring break.
And we say to each other, we say things like, what an idiot. And then we stand there silently in our heads like, fucking legend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What was his name he gave him? Or what was the name that they gave him? The white guy name? Was it
Estajoka?
Estajoka?
Like,
all right, so he's the governor of this place that just straight up doesn't exist.
Straight up. I mean, and he's claiming this whole time to the Spanish, to the British, to everyone who will listen, the Americans, that he's like, no, I am the legitimate leader of this. All of the natives who live there, I'm their chief. I'm in charge. Here's my flag.
Sure, buddy.
Take a look at the flag, buddy.
Hey, no, I wasn't convinced, but now I am. I see your flag. I recognize you.
So anyway, he gets arrested. He's sent all the way to the Philippines. He spends like 5, 6, 7 years like in Spanish custody, like just being an absolute asshole, like the whole time.
Well, if you're going to be arrested, do
basically, like, man, when the British get wind of this, like, they're going to declare war on you guys, and they're going to come after you, and, like, I'm going to start this international incident, and by the way, like, the governor's wife, like, she's total babe, like, I'm
she wants it, bro.
Yeah,
she wants me so bad.
Stuff. Like, he is such an ass.
Dude, at the end of the day, does one of these Spanish guys just be like, so, none of that's happened? All right.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he's like rotting in the Philippines for a while, and they're like, okay, well, like, fine, we're gonna send you back to Spain because, like, we're done with you.
Because there's like right now in the story, there's a huge part of me that is like jokingly like, this guy's a legend, but I'm also like, I want to call bullshit on so much of this guy. Like, I wish I could time travel to be like, liar.
This is a perfect example of how like people who know how to bullshit get so far in life until like it finally
when a nuclear collapses around him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So on his way back,
I'm excited.
There's more
from the Philippines. He's on a Spanish ship off the coast of Africa. By this point, we're into like the French Revolutionary Wars.
Okay.
So England actually is at war with Spain by this time.
Yep.
Spain and France. He's on a Spanish ship off the coast of Africa when it gets attacked by a British warship. And during the battle, he slips out, like throws himself off the Spanish ship and swims to an American merchantman that's in the harbor and escapes.
They're like, what are you doing with that barrel? He's like, trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got experience.
I got experience here.
I'm a barrel guy.
I'm a barrel guy. Bit of a barrel guy. So he climbs aboard of an American vessel.
And the American, it's like a neutral trader. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll drop you off. That's fine. We'll give you a lift. He gets a lift to England, and before you know it, he's back in the Bahamas, like, Governor General is back, baby. You like pirates?
I love pirates.
Do you want some pirates? Because there's about to be some pirates in this story.
Let's go! Pirates!
So our boy is back. He is ready.
All right.
Muskogee is a thing again.
Okay. The flag is in the ground.
The flag is there. He puts together an army of, like, natives, enslaved people. He puts together a small fleet of privateers that are flying the Muskogee flag.
No. What? He's got a navy now?
He's got a navy. And I mean,
the ships in
the navy are probably like barrels.
They're barrels.
They're probably smaller than the deck that we're on right now.
He's got more than Sealand had. Sealand, all they had was the platform. He's got a navy.
Navy.
Doesn't matter if it's dinky, he's got a navy.
And he also, at this point, kind of has a little bit of, like, official cover because England is actually at war with Spain at this point.
Right.
So, like, the English are a little more willing to turn a blind eye to his bull.
Has his dad written to him and been like, "Are you done with this phase yet?"
I have no
Like,
idea if
please
he
come,
ever, like...
please come home. Your mother's worried sick.
Yeah, because this guy's, like, what, maybe in his late 20s.
At this point, he's not even 30.
No, he's...
His 50-year-old dad.
He's like about 30 at this point.
Okay.
So, like, he's doing his thing. He's back. We are so back.
Okay,
We are so
We're
back.
so back.
We're so back.
He's raiding Spanish ships in the Gulf of Mexico. He is... him and his army, like, take a small Spanish fort in Florida at, like, St. Mark's.
Yeah.
His army of, like, kind of like this mixed race motley crew. He would have definitely listened to Motley Crue.
Yeah, well,
He's a
and
Motley
that's
Crue
what
guy.
he's listening to when he bails on the burnout in front of the high school kids.
Right.
He's got what's the Kickstart My Heart going on.
Yeah.
But he tanks. He's like, oh shit! And he almost loses the back end into other cars.
So he's actually, like, becoming... This is, like, the most legitimate threat he has ever been.
I mean, he's faking it until he's making it, and right now he's kind of making
kind
it.
of making it. I mean,
He's
it's
falling upward.
Yeah, he is
In a
falling
weird
up a
way.
small bit.
Yeah.
He's definitely a thorn in the side of the Spanish by this point. Like, for
All right.
real. Like, they've taken Spanish ships. They've caused some damage. They took a fort. Doesn't matter that they lost the fort, like, a few days later. But, like, they took it.
They took
and
it.
that's what matters.
That's something.
That's something. But then, unfortunately, in 1802, Britain and Spain make peace. Now the British are like, you know, they entertained it for a little while, but now they're ready to just cut bait on
They're
this
like,
guy.
dude, stop.
Because, like, you are causing problem. Because he is, like, he's been attacking, like, merchants who are set up in Florida. He's pissing off different important merchant firms, pissing off the Spanish, pissing off the Americans, who by this point have an eye on Florida. You know, this is early, like, first decade of the 1800s. So, like...
Louisiana Purchase is about to happen if it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Louisiana Purchase is happening around here, so the Americans become a big force in this story.
We double the nation in purchase, single
Yeah.
purchase, yep.
Yeah, now all of a sudden we're in New Orleans, we're kind of closing him off in the Gulf. You know, Muskogee is...
It's gone. It's American now, baby.
Yeah, it's like...
Take your flag.
Yeah, I think the only reason he was able to get away with it for so long is that, you know, it was kind of a no man's land.
There's also the confusion of war.
And so the Spanish are really able to devote a lot of resources against him. So they start, like, you know, his navy one by one starts getting picked off, and because, you know, nobody actually recognizes Muskogee, they're all being hung as pirates.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Yeah,
your
they
smiley
are.
face sun flag isn't going to save your life.
They're just dropping rocks in the barrels and they're sinking. The guy's like, damn it. Shit.
You know, a lot of his the troops that he has, you know, there's like desertion starts to become a problem. The Spanish have put like a massive price on his head. They're like offering like $6,000 to capture this guy, which like in like 1805 is a ton of money.
I mean, so they're taking him seriously now.
Yeah, they're done with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the same time like American kind of freebooters are like already making designs on Florida, so they're taking it super serious.
Yeah,
You know, they're
yeah.
trying to hold on to this for as long as they can. So this is where like his luck finally runs out.
Okay.
There's some kind of behind the scenes like machinations going on between the different native groups in what is supposedly Muskogee. You know, different branches of the Creek. The Seminole are involved. Some Cherokee. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth,
He's part of their history,
you know,
I guess,
like
right?
he never tried to necessarily sell out any of the native people.
Yeah,
Like, he sees
yeah.
himself as kind of like a white savior type, where he's like, I'm
Oh.
gonna, you know, lead these people to
Yeah.
victory, and we're gonna have our own native nation. And it's gonna be so cool.
Like, what do you mean we?
Yeah, who's this we?
What do you mean
Okay,
we?
white boy.
Yeah.
Word comes out that like there's gonna be this massive meeting of like all the Creek leaders, you know, all the different chiefs from all the different.
So
like,
naturally he's invited. He's the
and
king of the
course,
Creek.
like, he's like, yeah, well, why
Well,
wouldn't they?
Of
invite
course
me?
I'm invited.
And he shows up, and he is arrested by a group of Creek who are like hostile to him and are like done with his bull
Yeah.
and ready to collect.
They were his.
Yeah.
They were his wife's brothers. I bet.
Prop. Which wife? I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Creek
like,
Right.
Creek one.
It's interesting though that it's going to be the Creek that are going to arrest him for this because he hasn't sold them out. He Has he along the way in this journey? Has he kind of?
He's made enemies.
Okay, so he's made enemies.
In one guy in particular, this guy named Alexander McGilvery, who is like half Scottish, half Creek.
Okay.
He's been a native trader on the Gulf Coast for a long time. He's got interest in there, and what Bowles has been doing is really undermining him.
All right.
So he's the one that like really is like, all right, we're putting a stop.
We're stopping this.
Yeah. This guy is messing with my trade. I had a good thing going, and this guy's
messing with me
too much. So they arrest him. They turn him over to the Spanish. He's imprisoned, put on a ship to Cuba for the third time in his life, and he's going to end up at the El Morro Castle there, the kind of colonial fortress in Havana. And that's where he dies. He's like 41 years old. He dies in prison in Cuba.
So he rots away. He's not executed.
So I mean, one of the sources, and
or
again, like
diseased,
it's
maybe.
so impossible to believe like what is true about this guy and what isn't.
Sure.
Like who knows? I mean, I certainly don't take his autobiography.
No, that's the one you should take.
Of
That's gospel. Why even cite it? Forget citations.
Supposedly
Trust
he
him.
starves himself.
Oh.
He like so heartbroken over like this is it, this is the end. Yeah, there's no daring escape. He doesn't swim his way to freedom.
So he becomes a
Like,
quitter at the end of it all.
He just kind of like gives up, and he's dead.
To be fair, I would be exhausted by that if I did all that by the time. Like, I'm almost 40 right now, and I'm exhausted by what I've done. And what I've done was, like, I played heavy metal guitar for a long time. I couldn't imagine starting a country, becoming a chief, marrying princesses,
being a pirate,
and
an actor, and
a painter, starting wars, fighting,
having a barrel boat.
100%, right?
Yep.
I could do that, actually.
I could
barrel
be Jimmy
boat sounds
Buffett's.
really good right now. Like,
So, with my access to the river, there's a part of me that's like, I have barrels. We should try this.
We should just do it. We should try to just experiment.
Bowls-
Barrels on
Bowls
the
life.
Potomac.
You know what, boys? By the end of this summer, it might be so hot that I just say "F it," and I find a barrel and we
We
try
do our
it.
next grilling
We
history.
just try it.
We do the grilling history where we just sit
The
down.
follow-up. I think one of these lantern flies just landed on my neck.
Yeah, they've been.
Bro,
they're awful.
Mid-Atlantic folks, get ready. It's going to be a hard lanternfly summer for you between humidity and how many of their nymphs are already out.
yeah,
Jeepers.
they're just everywhere.
Everywhere. So a rather anticlimactic end for such a vibrant life.
Yeah.
To kind of just fade away in prison, going out without a big roar. Like, that's the guy you imagine going out with two guns blazing.
Right, like he's gonna try to.
He's like,
dig his way out of it.
Muskogee!
Yeah, right.
He's waving his flag like Mel Gibson in The Patriot when he gets bayoneted. Yeah.
I'm thinking like Red Dawn, like Wolverine.
Yeah, it's just something badass is how that guy's supposed to.
Nope.
But no, he just
I think
dies
he
in prison.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a crazy story.
Isn't he married? He marries the Price lady, right? What happens to her?
Oh, that's his mom.
his mom. So
His
what
mom's
happens?
the Price.
So what happens to his family?
I have no idea.
Like, because at 40,
I've never really like followed up on that.
at 40, mom and dad could still be alive.
Yeah.
Because we have that misconception that everybody in the 18th century died at like 35, right?
Yeah.
So like his parents, like it's crazy.
It's actually like a really. I should look into that at some point.
Well, then we
'cause,
get to do more follow-up with you. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know what his parents thought of all this. Like if they found out what he was.
That's
up
what
to.
I mean. Like he's reading the paper one morning and he's like, oh.
Muskogee.
He's like, sweetheart, do you see what our son is up to? Muskogee, what? Yeah,
He's like, man, I should have joined his Navy when he asked.
When we come to him in our podcast episode, it's not. That's why we did this as the grilling history, because we kind of just briefly mention him because we talk about Maryland as a whole. So I was like, this guy is super interesting. And when we cut the mics for that recording, you were like, quick version of this story, and we were like, what? So I kept that in my mind, and when we pitched this to you, I was like, this has got to be the story.
I mean, he's one of those dudes that like you throw around the like larger than life, but like so many weird twists and turns, and like so many times where like I said, like his bullshit should have been called out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then it finally like comes crashing down.
He is a one-man intersection of so many themes and threads.
Yeah.
Like he is a singular person that the French, the Spanish, the native peoples, the English, the Americans, piracy, like famous people like we mentioned Dunmore. He is the intersection of so much. It is wild. Yeah. There has to be some truth to his legendary story merely because you find him in the periphery of so many of these other stories. So there has to be something to it, which is what makes it incredible. Like at the end of the day, we can laugh and call bullshit on like almost everything he said, but it's like there has to be some truth because it shows up where it shouldn't.
Dude, I'm 41 years old, and my life hadn't been anything close to as exciting.
I'll tell you what,
like, that dude lived his life.
I feel like when I tell people about what I've done in my life, they do the same thing that I feel. Like, they're like, no way. Like, no way you've done all this. And I feel like what I've done is, first of all, it's real, but it's like nothing
we
compared
should start
to...
our own country. Let's do it.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
We can do whatever we want in the United States
Get the barrels,
anymore.
boys.
Yeah,
Let's
get the
do it.
barrels. We're starting a
doing it.
Navy.
Yeah.
So give our listeners a little preview before we get back into food here about what they're going to hear about when it comes to Maryland in the Revolution in just a few short weeks with you.
So we talked about a lot of stuff. Really gave kind of a general overview. A lot about politics going on, especially before the Revolution.
Yep.
Some of the big families, big names politically.
Right.
And then we talked a lot about military stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Maryland is cool. Maryland's cool.
Maryland's cool.
But,
you heard it, Parker. Eat it.
it's
Yeah, it's cool.
it's so fascinating during the Revolution because, you know, there aren't any major battles in Maryland or anything like that. But
Right.
Marylanders play such a pivotal role in almost every single campaign. I mean, you have Marylanders from the get-go, you know, rifle companies marching to Cambridge in 75. You've got, you know, Marylanders fighting in the New York campaign.
Saving Washington's ass.
Saving Washington's ass. You've got Marylanders all over the South. I mean, the Maryland regiments make up the backbone of the Continental Army in the South under Nathaniel Greene. So these guys really pulled way above their weight class.
That's why I was so excited to do that episode with you, because I feel like a lot of people, when they think Revolution, they don't think much further past Massachusetts, Virginia, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Maybe Georgia. Sometimes they're smart enough to think about South Carolina because they've seen the Patriot, but it's almost never Maryland.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, no battles really, no real big battles, but it's like the people are everywhere. And they kind of lived that same life in the French and Indian War 20 years before too. Once they become good like woodsmen and things like that, they go from being like these nothings to like, what is the quote? Forbes campaign quote? Some of the briskest woodsmen I've ever seen, type of thing. Yeah, it's
That's
really cool.
awesome.
But it's like 20 years later, like they're still hanging on that reputation. They've taught their sons, and
Absolutely.
it's really cool to think about. That's why I was so excited to do this
And, like,
episode.
so many larger than life characters. You've got Smallwood, you've
Right.
got Cressup, you've got Otho Williams.
Yep.
All these
I even
guys.
dropped something on you didn't know, which I have been living on as like makes me feel so happy that my super smart intellectual friends, I was able to teach one smart thing. National Treasure, have you seen the movie? So
No,
you know,
I've never watched it all the way through.
first of all, you should. It's a great historical documentary
Of
about
course,
true
yeah.
life things.
Yeah.
But there comes a scene where the guy, the intern, basically is like, "Oh, I know something you don't know." He's like, "Let me just enjoy this for a minute." That's been me since we did this episode. We were talking about the devil bisses, and I was asking you if you remember that, or if you'd ever seen that they were on this confiscated properties list in 1781 when the Confiscation Act happened, because they were loyalists, and like all that area that you grew up in was just straight up
Right
like,
off Devil
"Yeah,
Biss
you're
Bridge Road."
loyalists,"
Yep.
you know, like that. So I was like, "Oh," so I taught that to Travis for the record.
There you go.
So Travis, I think it's time to look at our food
It's
here.
time,
Let's
yeah.
get to it.
That's the big reveal.
All right.
So yeah, they went back on with that sauce, a little bit of butter, a little bit of they put on their brown sugar.
What temperature are we looking at?
Try to keep it right around between 225 and 250.
So nice and low and
just
slow.
low and slow, because you really want that. You know, pork belly's fatty,
Yeah.
and you don't want that like kind of
Me
gristly
too,
fat. You
yes.
want that like
Melt.
melts in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They were pretty melty
Yeah.
when you first pulled. Oh, my
my.
God.
You're gonna-
Can you, if you have the glovies, can you present that for our camera
Here,
nice
I'll
and clean?
give it a nice stir.
'Cause holy moly, don't move anything. Oh,
really
my
make sure it's-
goodness.
It is like candy. All right. Let me get my glovies.
Yeah,
here.
we gotta
I like that you call
show.
them glovies.
These are cool.
I put them on so they look cool.
I like it.
There we go.
Have you ever had these before, Pat? Have you ever
No,
had
they're
then you're in for a
delicious.
treat. So basically,
Actually, not true. I have had them. A friend of my wife's, her husband made them. They were awesome, but I'll tell you what,
reveal?
they're cool people. These are way better. Holy mackerel, these look amazing, dude. Like, I want to swim in it. Is that weird?
So Pat, you know
I mean,
what pork belly is, right? Like if you leave this for like smoking for what, like a week, it becomes bacon.
Yeah, this
So
is
basically, this is
basically
like
like bacon.
big chunks
This
of
is
bacon.
pre-bacon.
Pre-bacon.
Pre-
Hell
Bacon.
yeah.
I didn't grab any forks. I'm gonna go grab some forks.
Sure,
All
sure,
right.
sure.
Taste test.
All right, so is it time?
It's time.
Grab myself a
Grab,
fork
grab,
here.
grab a nice
I
tender
see
one
this
Grab
somewhere in
myself
there.
a nice tendy one. There,
There
we
you go.
go.
All right.
This is my guy.
Cheers.
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 fellas.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much. It's so hot, I can't even put it in my mouth.
That's what she said. That's amazing.
I'm just like bliss right now.
That is the flavor.
Worth the wait.
That is the flavor of everything good about summer and barbecue.
Yeah.
You can really taste the notes of the apple in there.
This is the flavor of the gods.
You can really taste the apple. You can taste it's very bacony, obviously, but it's not overly maple. It's got like that, it's that brown sugar.
Can I take some of these
apple.
home?
Oh yeah.
Like in a little Ziploc baggie to go.
It's salty. It's sweet. It's meaty. It's fatty.
And it's got that natural salt.
Few years off your life, with
Who
bad
cares?
snake, but I don't care.
That's amazing.
You do this, and you're like, man, I'm trying to be healthy. You're in the wrong game, baby.
Okay. I made these for a party last year. My wife doesn't eat meat. She's a pescatarian.
Okay, yeah.
So I did a batch of these, and then I did the same thing with tofu.
She was down.
She was down, and they were pretty good.
I can't do tofu.
Not this good. Not this good.
Oh, man. So you got anything cool coming up you want to talk about at Piedmont Heritage, or are we done for the day? We're just going to enjoy this meal.
We got a bunch of public education stuff coming up.
Cool.
I don't know when this is going to air. What later in the
This is going to be out this month in June of 2025. So you can literally talk about all of July, the whole rest of the summer.
July, I think it's the 12th or whatever. We'll be at the Burrow Morgan Mill out in Clark County, Virginia.
Okay.
Mill built by Daniel Morgan. Doing some colonial history out there.
Have I told you my beef with Daniel Morgan before? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Lay it on me. I want to hear.
Daniel Morgan's awesome. I have no actual beef with him. I have a beef with his epitaph. Fought everywhere, defeated nowhere, right?
Except for Quebec.
Thank you! Thank you! You can't become a POW and not be defeated.
Not be defeated.
The man is captured and becomes a prisoner of war. So you already know the beef. That's my beef.
Can I do an experiment?
That epitaph is crap.
You guys keep talking. I'm going to do a food.
Okay, you do that.
Are you gonna
He's gonna make a sandwich.
You're gonna layer.
He's gonna make a cheese.
What'd you think of the cream cheese?
Delicious, by the way. Can I get some of that to go too? Because I want to spend some time with that. So Parker,
oh God, madman.
Hold on, I gotta film the close up of this. I'm putting my camera down for a
They're
second.
going to start calling me Essa Joker.
That is decadent right there.
All right, Parker, show that off real quick. Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Okay.
That's good. Good decision there. Hell yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
So, well, Travis, this has been an absolute treat, man. Thank you so much for hosting us at your house here. Thank you so much for spending some time in this. Honestly, the weather's been great, but we're already into the standard mid-Atlantic summer. Have you noticed how sweaty we got in the last hour? Greasy pigs right now. Eating greasy pigs, eating greasy pigs. Hell yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much for joining us on the History of Things podcast. Make sure that you catch Travis's episode in just a few short weeks. It'll be out Monday, June 30th. Hang out with us as we finish our grilling history series. We have a special episode with Rich Condon coming up next month.
Nice.
We'll be on Gettysburg Battlefield for that one.
That is cool.
And then we got a real special treat coming up with Sarah Morgan from Cooking with the First Ladies. This show is finally going to do it. We're going to go nuclear. We're going atomic, and we're going to talk about the Manhattan Project, and we're going to make some grilled chicken stuff that the ladies of the Manhattan Project and things like that were making. So lots of stuff coming up with grilling history, coming up with the podcast. Just make sure you're tuning in. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, by searching for the History of Things podcast. Get out to Virginia Piedmont Heritage area. Make sure that you get into the vast history of this awesome site.
PiedmontHeritage.org.
PiedmontHeritage.org. And then obviously just get out to your local sites, wherever they are. It's summer season, so make sure that when you can and the weather's good for you, you visit the sites where the park rangers are, especially this summer. This is a summer where they definitely want to see you. So I've been pumped. I've been excited about how excited people have been to do this project. So thank you one last time. For our guest today, Travis Shaw. For my co-host, Parker Russell, I'm Pat McGuire. This is the History of Things podcast, just reminding you that we are the boys who grilled up all the meat again.